You know what's interesting about respect? It's one of those things that women rarely talk about directly. But every single thing she does around you reveals whether she truly respects you or not. A woman can tell within minutes if she's dealing with a man she can look up to or one she'll quietly walk over. And here's the thing most men don't realize. Once you lose her respect, it's almost impossible to get it back. You can buy her gifts, say the right words, or even try to act tough, but deep down, if she's already decided that you're not the kind of man she can trust or admire, nothing will change that. Now, I know this might sound harsh, but it's not about being perfect. It's about how you carry yourself, emotionally, mentally, and energetically. Women are unbelievably good at reading subtle cues. She doesn't have to hear you say something weak. She can feel it in how you respond, how you look at her, how you handle tension. There's this invisible radar in her mind that picks up on things you probably don't even notice. Your tone, your hesitation, your need for her validation. That's how she decides, often unconsciously, whether she'll respect you or not. I remember talking to a guy who said, "I don't get it. I treat her well, I give her everything, but she still acts distant." And I told him, the problem isn't that you're kind, it's that you've made her your center. When a woman feels like your whole sense of happiness depends on her, she starts to lose attraction. Why? Because it creates an emotional imbalance. It's like she can sense that you've stopped leading your own life and started orbiting around hers. And once that happens, she'll never look at you the same way again. She'll still talk to you, maybe even stay with you, but deep down, her respect is gone. You see, a woman doesn't want a man who worships her. She wants a man she can admire. There's a difference. Admiration comes when she sees strength, not physical strength necessarily, but emotional groundedness. It's when she sees that no matter what happens, you don't crumble, that you have a direction, a purpose, and you don't let her moods dictate your worth. When you lose that frame, she senses it instantly, and she starts testing you. Subtly at first. She'll pull away a little, make small comments, delay texts. She's not being cruel. It's her way of subconsciously checking if you're still the same man she was drawn to, or if you've fallen into emotional neediness. Here's what most men don't realize. The biggest thing that destroys a woman's respect isn't one big mistake. It's the small, repeated behaviors that silently tell her you don't value yourself. It's when you apologize too much for things you didn't even do wrong. It's when you let her get away with disrespect because you're scared of losing her. It's when you make her feelings more important than your principles. Every time you do that, she sees it, and a small piece of her admiration fades away. There's a kind of strength that women don't talk about but crave deeply. The strength of a man who doesn't need to prove anything. The man who can stay calm when she's emotional. The man who can say no without explaining himself. The man who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't try to fix everything just to keep her happy. Because that man radiates something rare, stability. And stability is the foundation of respect. The first thing that destroys a woman's respect, often before you even realize it, is when you start over-explaining yourself. You see, most men do this with good intentions. You want her to understand where you're coming from. You don't want her to misinterpret your actions, so you start explaining. And explaining and explaining. But to her, it doesn't come across as clarity. It comes across as insecurity. The more you justify yourself, the more she feels like you're trying to convince her of your worth. And that's where the shift happens. She stops seeing you as the grounded, confident man she was drawn to, and starts seeing you as someone who needs her approval. Women can sense that energy immediately. Let's say she asks you, "Why didn't you text me back last night?" You might say something like, "Oh, I was busy, my phone died, I was going to text you later, but I fell asleep and I didn't mean to ignore you." That's how most guys respond. It sounds harmless, right? But underneath, what she hears is a man trying to explain himself so he doesn't upset her. A man walking on eggshells. A man afraid to lose her. You'd be amazed at how quickly her respect starts to fade when she senses that fear. A confident man would simply say, "I was busy. I'll text you when I can." No defensiveness, no justification, just calm certainty. Because when you over-explain, you hand her your power without realizing it. You're putting her in the position of judge, and you're the one pleading your case. That's not attraction. That's emotional submission. And the crazy part is, women don't consciously think he's weak. They just feel a loss of polarity. They start to see you as safe but not exciting, nice but not masculine. The spark fades, and so does the respect. This happens not only in relationships, but in dating too. Maybe you've been on a few dates with a younger woman, and she starts to pull back a little. Instead of letting her come to you, you start explaining, I really like you. I just want you to know I'm serious. I don't want you to think I'm playing games. You think you're being honest, but to her, it sounds like you're trying to convince her to stay interested. She'll smile, she'll nod, she'll say she appreciates your honesty. But internally, she's losing attraction. Because women respect men who can sit with uncertainty, who don't panic when things feel unclear, who can say less and still communicate confidence. It's not about being cold or distant. It's about trusting your own value. When you can hold your frame, when you don't chase understanding or validation, she feels that emotional security. And ironically, that's when she becomes more interested, more curious, more drawn to you, because now she's trying to figure you out. You've flipped the dynamic. Instead of being the man trying to earn her respect, you've become the man whose respect she wants to earn. And that's a subtle but powerful shift in attraction. Once you understand it, you'll notice how often women test for that strength. She'll question your choices, disagree with your opinions, even tease you, and not to argue, but to see if your confidence wavers. Every test is a silent question. Can I trust this man to stand his ground? If your energy stays calm, your tone steady, she feels safe. And that safety becomes desire. The second thing that makes a woman lose respect, and this one happens so subtly most men never notice, is when you start seeking emotional validation from her. Now, I know that sounds simple, but this one goes deep. Because every man, at some point, wants to feel appreciated, seen, and understood, especially when you care about her. You want to know she values you, that she still wants you. But the moment you start looking to her for that sense of reassurance, something inside her changes. You stop being her anchor and start being another source of emotional weight. Here's the truth most guys miss. Women are instinctively drawn to men who are emotionally self-contained. That doesn't mean emotionless. It means you don't need her to feel okay about yourself. When you're calm, steady, and centered, she feels safe to express her own emotions. But when you start craving her validation, asking if she's still into you, if you're doing enough, if she's mad, she starts to feel like she has to hold you emotionally. And that's the moment her respect begins to fade. Imagine this. You've been dating a woman for a while. At first, things are amazing. She's playful, affectionate, always texting you, but over time, she pulls back a little. Maybe she takes longer to reply, maybe she's not as expressive. Most men in that situation start asking questions. Did I do something wrong? Are you losing interest? You don't seem as excited anymore. You think you're being open, but what she feels is pressure. It's like she can sense that you're handing her the responsibility for your emotional state, and instead of feeling closer, she starts to drift further away. The irony is, women crave connection, but they respect boundaries. They want to feel emotionally close, but only to a man who doesn't lose himself in that closeness. Because when a woman feels like you need her to make you feel wanted, she subconsciously starts pulling back to restore balance. It's not that she's trying to hurt you, it's that your need for her validation disrupts the polarity that made her attracted in the first place. There's a difference between appreciation and validation. Appreciation is grounded. It's when you can say, I love how you make time for me, from a place of confidence. Validation seeking, on the other hand, is needy. It's when your energy says, please tell me I'm enough. And even if you don't say it out loud, she feels it. In the way you text, the tone of your voice, the small hesitations before you speak. A woman's intuition is incredibly sharp. She knows when a man is centered and when he's not. I once knew a man who was dating a younger woman who adored his confidence at first. She'd tell him she loved how calm and grounded he was. But slowly, as he fell deeper into the relationship, he started depending on her validation. He'd text her more, overthink her replies, and start asking questions like, are you still happy with me? Within weeks, she began pulling away. When he asked me what happened, I told him the hard truth. She didn't stop liking him. She just stopped respecting him. Because the man she was drawn to had disappeared. That's why it's crucial to build your emotional foundation first, so you can give her connection without needing reassurance in return. Women are drawn to men who are emotionally full, not emotionally hungry. The more you need her to validate you, the less she can feel desire for you. But when she sees that you're solid, no matter how she feels on any given day, she starts looking at you differently, with admiration. The third thing that makes a woman quietly lose respect for a man, even a strong, confident one, is when he gives up his boundaries to keep her happy. And this one is tricky because it often hides behind what looks like kindness, love, or compromise. You tell yourself you're just being understanding, patient, or supportive. But in reality, every time you bend your own principles just to avoid conflict or disappointment, you chip away at the masculine energy she was once drawn to. See, boundaries aren't walls, they're cerosers. They're signals of self-respect. They tell the world, and her, how much you value yourself. When you let her cross them repeatedly without consequences, she may smile, she may thank you, but inside, something changes. She stops seeing you as a leader. She stops trusting your strength. Because deep down, women don't respect men who make them the center of their world. They respect men who have a world of their own and choose to share it. Think about it like this. A woman tests boundaries not because she's manipulative, but because it's her way of measuring your strength. It's instinctual. She might challenge your opinions, question your decisions, or get emotional just to see if you'll stand firm. Not because she wants to dominate you, but because she wants to feel your stability. When you cave in every time just to keep the peace, what she feels isn't relief, it's disappointment. She senses that you'd rather be comfortable than respected. I've seen this happen countless times. A guy starts dating a woman, and at first he's assertive, confident, sure of who he is. But as he gets more invested, he starts compromising too much. She cancels plans last minute, and he says it's fine. She flirts a little too openly. He laughs it off. She disrespects his time or opinions, and he stays silent, afraid that speaking up will drive her away. What he doesn't realize is that silence is exactly what makes her drift away. Because deep down, every woman wants to know where the line is, and when you don't draw it, she loses trust in your strength. And once trust fades, attraction follows. The truth is, women feel emotionally safe around men who protect their own boundaries. When you calmly say, "That's not okay with me," or "I don't tolerate that," she might push back at first. But internally, she respects you more because she knows you're not afraid to walk away if something crosses your values. That's rare, and it's powerful. A man who has standards commands attention. A man who doesn't becomes forgettable. Now I get it. Many men fear losing a woman if they stand their ground. But that fear is exactly what keeps you trapped. When you choose peace over self-respect, you lose both. The woman might stay physically, but emotionally, she's gone. And the sad part is, most men never realize when that shift happens. She stops looking at you with admiration. Her tone changes. Her energy softens, but not in affection, in detachment. She's polite but distant, kind but uninterested. Because the man she respected, the one with a backbone, faded into a version of himself that just wanted to please her. Boundaries don't push women away. Weakness does. When you're firm but fair, calm but unshakable, she feels something deeper than attraction. She feels trust. And that trust creates emotional polarity, the invisible force that keeps her drawn to you even when she doesn't fully understand why. So, if you ever find yourself sacrificing your values for her approval, remember this. You can either be liked for a moment or respected for a lifetime. One fades, the other lasts.